well, this is the state of mind we need to be living in. I think what we're going to be looking at is one big wasteland and potentially one sort of semi-prosperous area that's not sustainable. If we don't worry about the entire area, I think this community will die. We'll die slowly, but we'll die because those cultural feelings that this community has had will continue, will persist. There'll be the black, white, there'll be the poor, rich, there'll be the issues that we sort of can avoid in the suburbs. And I live in the suburbs, but yet I spend most of my waking hours in the city. So that's my dream, my vision, but also my biggest fear is that if we fail, we will perpetuate a culture that is not sustainable 50 years from now.
We can tell you are not from here.
You are correct.
But we're happy to have you.
And I'm glad to be here. That's the whole thing. I'm glad to be here.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Talking a lot today.
You are. I'm proud.
Well, I look at this area as being very important as far as the future of Memphis, the consolidation. We have a very high unemployment rate. Our best students are running off to other places to make their lives and start their families. Where I look at, if we can cultivate the young people today for leaders of tomorrow, it'll bring more job opportunities here. It'll give us a chance to say that I'm at home, I'm where I want to be, not where I have to go for a job. And it'll just make the total community a better place to live. That's very important for my kids, my grandkids, and all the way down the line. I've had opportunities to live other places. I chose here because I love here. I've always looked at other people leaving here as an opportunity for me. Because I said, well, let all the smart people go, and I'll just stay here and wait on my opportunity. But it shouldn't be that way. We should keep our sharp, smart people here and cultivate them from young people. So I think it's very important that we can, as far as doing this, but of course there is fear involved, and the fear is always failure. What if we don't get this right? And that's something that we have to live with. But we have to start somewhere, and I'm willing to work hard and get started now.
I have to tell y'all, I have a friend that I do some volunteer work at the Women's Exchange. Don't ask me why, but I really enjoy doing that, waiting on tables. And there was a lady there that's a friend of mine, and she had read Ricky Jean's name on this committee, and she went to Collierville High School, and she said he was so nice and the best football player and just smart. She remembered you after all these years, so we're glad you stayed around. We're glad you stayed. Okay, good. Anybody else?
I guess I'd like to speak. I've had the privilege of working for almost 17 years with young people from every neighborhood, middle school and high school in Memphis and Shelby County, even many in northern Mississippi. And what's really amazing is how great our young people are and what they're capable of doing in terms of working together. And they are extraordinary young people with great capacity to achieve incredible things. I mean, we really have some extraordinary young people. Added to that are so many things that are happening in our community right now, as if there's this installation of factors that are really significant. Some great initiatives in education in our community in a whole variety of ways, across the whole community. We see things happening in the larger community that will augment the work that in the future. Health and medical services are growing and expanding in our community. Federal Express, AutoZone, International Paper, some major corporations and others who are looking at this community. And I just see so much good that's happening. And so when I couch this opportunity and challenge in that setting, given, you know, the extraordinary young people who are here in our community, given the many great things that are already happening, and giving the resources, the larger resources that are available, you know, from all the people who are so committed to this community. I mean, I really am excited about this challenge, this opportunity, and what's in front of us. And I truly think that Mr. Hart's image of this monument that we're going to put out there, the Hart Monument. Well, you know, it has a ring to it. You know, the heart of this effort, you know. And, you know, but that will signify the great work that took place here and the commitment of the entire community to achieve something that has not been achieved any other place in the United States. And I think we have that chance to do that.
Any fears?
Well, you know, I've got the, you know, every morning I get up, I fear I'm going to get struck by a car. But, you know, I don't work out of fear. I try not to work out of fear. You know, I've lived with that often enough in my life, and I don't find that motivating. But I do find the whole opportunity and challenge, and truly when I see the faces of young people that I've worked with from the poorest communities to the richest communities, and I know what they're capable of accomplishing together, every section of this community, I just know we've got this opportunity. We will not fail them.
And Mr. Boyd was well positioned to see that happen in the Bridges program. Students can kind of get rid of all the barriers. They really can't. Okay, somebody else.
Madam Chair, some of us believe that Memphis, Shelby County is a sleeping giant of the southeastern United States. The catalytic force that will change this perception is exemplary education for all students, demanding high expectations of everyone. It's doable.
Good. All right. Who else? Yes, sir.
I guess I'll give it a shot, but with the opener that I really would like to hear David and Mercedes more than anybody answer these hopes and fears questions. My hopes are straightforward, which is that on what was the city system, that it's not getting it done for the students, and that for those students, this becomes a massive upgrade. For what was the county system, I'm incredibly impressed with that the more I've learned about it. And yet I think it can also be better, which I'm not sure that's a prevailing sentiment, but I think it could be even better, and it's a huge responsibility here to not just maintain that, but to hopefully point to something that does make it better. And on the kind of operations and financial side of this, I think a whole lot could be done better, and that if there are savings in that gets reinvested in the stuff that's more productive. I think this is a kind of a one-shot opportunity to run all of it a lot better, no matter what how that looks at the end. And then on the fear front, besides all of our collective fear of not doing it correctly, specifically that we get stopped out early by the zero-sum types. Like, this is not a zero-sum game. If we have a win at the city, that does not have to come out of the county's hide. And the county wins really big if our city school kids are educated better, because we are all one pot. And John said that the best, and I totally agree with all that. And so everybody can benefit here, and I'm just not sure everybody believes that in the community. And if those that don't believe that obscure or hurt the process, that's my biggest fear. That gets to Jim's committee again.
We're very glad the governor appointed you.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead. Later.
I think it's a real good opportunity. I've been involved in education. I'm just an outsider, well, an insider from the tax standpoint, but then working on the business and stuff, but I think this is a good opportunity for us to get right down in the middle of our problem. I mean, in the middle of it, and be ready to find out why that's happening, approach that thing like that. We have to reallocate funds from one area to another to make sure these children, 1 to 3 grade, get a real good base education. 10 years from now, we're not going to have a problem we got now because they don't have a base education. And I think that's a lot of what's happening in some areas right now. And we just need to all together look at this thing and do what's got to be what's got to be done, what's necessary, and don't haggle about it. And one of the components of this Chattanooga people said that they didn't have was the situation where these municipalities may form their own school districts. We can't let that bother us. What we're going to have to do, if that happens, we're still going to have a Shelby County school system. We've got to have the best one we can have, and we can't let any of this political stuff bother us. That's the way I see it. I think that we just got to be working and identify our problems and solve them. And if it's money or teachers or whatever it is, that's what we've got to do. And that's my hope that we can do that. And that we'll come out with a good example.
Thank you very much. Who said you didn't know anything about it? Mr. Shepherd, you've been calling on.
I'll be happy to. You know, when I think about the concept of public education, I don't know, most of y'all are way too young to remember a silly old television show back in the 60s called Green Acres. And, whenever Oliver Wendell Douglas would start talking about patriotism, whatever, the music start playing, whatever, that's kind of the way I feel about public education. You get me up on the stump and start talking about public education. I truly believe it's what makes this country great. I think it's I've said before, it's the foundation of our democracy. It's the most pervasive means of promoting our common destiny. It will be our future. And when we talk about hopes and fears, I was reminded in the last couple of weeks of something that happened of a theme that really I'm kind of embracing. When Steve Jobs died, a lot of people have kind of had a lot of recollections of what his life has meant to American society, technological changes. But when he came back to Apple Computer, which was a company that was in the process of failing, back in 1996, he asked that company to embrace a culture and a motto that really was the basis for all the success that they've had over the past 15 years. It was a motto called Think Differently. And really to be revolutionary in their thinking. And to be unafraid to pursue change and to look at things in a very different manner. We're in an era of exponential change. Barbara, I think you were probably still in the school board back at there was a National School Board Association convention a few years ago. There was a presentation on something called Change Happens. And it was talking about all the amazing things that are happening in the world that we're trying to prepare our children for. And it ended by saying that we are today preparing children for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that have not yet been invented, in order to solve problems that we don't even know are problems yet. And so the hope's got to be that we can build a system that can achieve these objectives, that can prepare children for that world of exponential change, and that we can be unafraid to think differently, that we cannot be held captive to just something that was done within Memphis City schools or Shelby County schools and embrace an agenda that's currently in place, but to be free to look at best practices across the country, across the world, and be unafraid to be bold, to be different, and to see if we can move forward. Because if we do that, we can build something great. It doesn't have to look like every other school system in the world. It can be a school system that can have many different components. It certainly doesn't have to look like one district of 150,000 kids. It may involve municipal school districts. It may involve charter school districts. It may involve vouchers. It may involve a lot of different things. We don't know that yet. But we need to think differently and prepare to build a system, however it's comprised, that can serve the needs of this community. Because as Ricky was talking about, we have a community today that is preparing our children in large part for a stack and pack economy. We're America's distribution center, and it's great. But we want our children to be more than that. We want our children to be able to compete for the best jobs wherever in the world. And so, you know, my hope is that we can achieve these things. My fear is that we try to hold on too fervently to agendas been in the past and not think differently.
Getting to know each other a bit, talking about our hope, biggest hope of this process, the end result, and what about anybody else?
I will share with you. Much of the work that I've done has been at the community college level. I taught English at all levels, developmental education, college level. I served as a chair, as a dean, and currently the associate vice president. One of the changes in education today, in terms of the funding formula, particularly in Tennessee, where the focus is going to be on not how many students are enrolled, but how many students persist and graduate. So it's focused on outcomes. Another one of the major changes is in terms of college readiness and the students who actually come to us. This week we had members from Shelby County and from Memphis City Schools. And see, we have already begun to work on looking at this as one system, because much of what we've done, we've brought both groups together around the table. Looking at students who come to us who are not prepared. In developmental education, we're starting to look at federal dollars being spent to educate students at the pre-high school level. And that's one of the changes that's going to occur, in the sense that the federal dollars will no longer be there for those students. The community college has been the second chance for students who graduated who were not college ready. That's not going to be the case for those students who are pre-high school. So our concern is, how can we work together to ensure that our students graduate college ready, or they're ready to begin to move into careers in those schools. We shared with Shelby County and with Memphis City Schools the profile of the students we get at the community college, and those who would fall in that pre-high school level. So our concern now is, how can we work together to build a curriculum so that we don't have that gap between where students graduate, the skills that they graduate with, and where they should be when they come to the college. One of our greatest challenges as a committee and as a community, we were talking about ensuring that we have community support, but some are not quite at the embracing the idea that the consolidation is going to take place. So if we began to listen to some of the comments and some of the questions and some of the things that we've heard, we're still at the pre-voting stage, where we're talking about the pros and cons. And it seems that our challenge is going to be, how can we get the community to know that it's going to happen? So how can we work together to build the best school system that we can? So as we prepare to get the input from the community, we need our leaders, we need this team, we need the board to help the community to understand where we are now. You know, it's not about the pros and cons. It's how can we build the best system.
Anybody has it?
My fear is that we disagree and not come back together to find consensus, if I were to say anything at all. My fear is that we won't have the frank discussions, to hear what Mr. Pickler was just saying. My fear is that we won't have the frank discussions that lead to a better understanding of what it is we're preparing to do and what we're in the middle of doing. My fear is that we adopt rigid positions and are unwavering. My hope is that we can agree and disagree as a committee, guys. And I mean really go at each other really hard. And after we go at each other really hard, it's not personal. it's what's in the best interest of the children of the future that we're creating jobs for that we have not a clue what for. And my hope is that in those 9 things that we create the most efficient, cost-effective delivery of instruction that impacts Shelby County and then branches out. But right now, Shelby County. And that we take on our biases. You know, we all have them. We have some assumptions. And we have some preconceived notions. But we've got to be able to disagree and laugh, be upset a few minutes, take a deep breath, and come back in and say, yeah, you got me that time, but let's come at it again. We got to actually work and not spend a whole lot of time grandstanding. We're going to have to work. And that's my hope, is that this group is a group that works and doesn't take anything personal I say, because I'm not going to take personal what you say. Just Richard Holden, I'm going to take that.
Go way back.
And that's my hope. And I want to work together, y'all. That's my hope, is that we work actually together. And when somebody says no, okay, so you said no, tell me why your no is. And then when we say, okay, we're still going to do it this way, you don't get so mad, you take your ball and go home. That's it. Wondered if you had your turn.
No, I couldn't say it as well as you did. I hope that we will be honest in addressing the barriers to providing a quality education. I think it's great to talk about the possibility that we'll have this wonderful future, but the reality of it is we're failing these kids right now. And if we don't address the barriers that we are putting in place right now and have in place right now that's causing these barriers, I think the fears of this committee will be reached. We will fail. The other thing, and my fear, is that people will attempt to deal with the situations we have no control over. I'm very close to what Mr. Spiller said. We cannot have any significant impact on what folks at either the county school board or the individual municipalities or the charter schools do. Our mandate is clear. We should stay very focused on it, which is to come up with a plan for all of the children in Shelby County. And whatever else happens, it's going to happen. I do think if we do it right, we can gain support of our parents. My other fear is that people will start leaving immediately. They will make plans for their children to go somewhere else if we cannot show some decisive planning progress pretty quickly.
Well, thank all of you, and I think that pleased me, and I have many hopes about this process, and many of you have said them. I hope we'll be bold, Mr. Pickler. I hope that we will. I hope that we will not turn it around for the children that we're failing, because there are many that we are failing. And I hope that we don't let good be the enemy of great in the places where we're really doing a good job. Because I think that all of that is in both of the existing systems. But I guess kind of as a mama, I hope every mother can get up at the end in 2013 and feel good about where their child is going to be in school, and know that the people dealing with that child is that they're going to give them their best and help them to acquire what they go to school for, which is to be prepared for school. And I think we can do that. My fear really is that, and I agree with, I've thought about this many times, that because I think people basically do what they think is best for children and what they think is best for their communities, and so there's no judgment there at all. But I think our children would be better off if every single grown-up in this community, from the river to Collierville, was pulling for every single child in the community. And so I guess my fear is that that people won't be able, for whatever reason, to give it a chance. We've got to be trustworthy in order for them to trust us. So I hope that we'll remain trustworthy in what we're doing. So, I feel like I know y'all a lot better, really. I really do. Mr. Paget, it's going to be work. you've got your work assignment too, it's in your packet up there. And I have a wonderful handout that Lewis gave me, but I need to get him to email it to me so that I can get it done and to folks. We've got a lot of work to do. I hope that none of us think that we aren't working now, because we are, but we're going to have to kick it up a big notch, and we're getting ready to. So, thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. Upcoming calendar. Next Thursday, Dr. Cash, as you know, the first day asked that he have some extended time to talk to us about some of the programming in the Memphis City schools. It is a large system, as we know, a lot of complex things, and there is a lot of systemic change going on there. Hasn't perhaps been going on long enough to make huge differences, but there's a lot going on, and he is going to be talking probably primarily about the reform efforts in the human capital and the DEI, Teacher Effectiveness Initiative, and the kind of things that are going on. And along with him will be some of the team members from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who have, by the way, been very clear that come 2013 they will consider themselves working with Shelby County students, which that's what we will be. They're very interested in children having the best teacher in the classroom, regardless of what their address is. So that's going to be next week. I promise you, I told them they only had 2 hours. We're going to have to work on that a little bit. And don't anybody tell Dr. K. I said that. But they'll have a very good presentation for us, and one that will be very important for us to listen to. I've mentioned, and Dr. Atkin gave a very good overview of the first meeting that we had in the PowerPoint. But I've told him that if he needs time to be here and some other things that he wants to tell us, and we're all about learning. We will be getting a lot of those pieces of information in our individual committees. That is true. So I'm leaving that up to him. We are shooting for November the 17th as the week that we will have the Charlotte Mecklenburg group here. We may change the venue for that like we did before, but we are working on that.
How about Charlotte?
Charlotte Mecklenburg.
How about us going to Charlotte?
Oh, going to Charlotte. That's a good idea. I love Charlotte. Very, very good. So the venue, how about Charlotte? I'm getting sorry. Okay, there you go. So that's what we're working on. Don't know that for sure. On the 10th, I am hoping that by that time we perhaps might have engaged a consultant. If that's true, we may have some update from them, some kind of structuring, getting us going, because they know all of the people that sent in applications, which were the very people that our school districts would have been using if they had been in charge of doing this planning about us. So that's one thing. And then there are some other kinds of issues that we can begin to draw on. We've got a lot of people that are willing to come and speak to us. One of the things, there's a lot going on in our state. We can't plan anything that is in variance with state law, so we need to know what that is. The Tennessee Race to the Top is one of those, the new standards. We have an achievement zone that is operating, has a superintendent that will be operating 3 of the schools that are in the Memphis City schools. We could utilize the tent for some of that. I would love to hear from you about things while we're in this mode of looking at some things. If there are things that you want me to look at and try to get in here, we can. There may be, we've talked about Louisville. I don't know if after we see Charlotte Mecklenburg, maybe after that, kind of in Mr. Pickler's vein, we may not want to see another merged school district. We just may want to see the best school district that's in the country, because that's where we want to move. I mean, we really do. I mean, We certainly don't want to throw out anything good that's going on in either Memphis or Shelby County, but what we really want to look at is what's the best that there is. So those 3 weeks I can plan ahead, and I think that truly we will be getting a pretty good schedule after that as soon as we, I don't mean to imply that we're standing still until we get a consultant, but we need some structure in terms of getting our committees going and looking at our vision. And maybe on the 10th we'll also hear from, he's going to throw rocks at me, from Jim Boyd. He might have had his committee already together thinking about how we might get around pretty quickly and listen to some community leaders. I know he knows that is the charge. I think that would be a good thing that we could do as quickly as possible. And having talked to a number of public relation firms and consultants, they know that's kind of a given that we'll be doing. Mrs. Goldsworthy, we're happy to have you tonight. We really are. We appreciate your interest. It's really good to have you in the audience. And as all of those of you that are here left behind in the city and county, Ms. Avery.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we look at schools, why don't we look at some of our local schools, and I have two in mind.
Okay.
It's White Station and Houston Levy.
That is a very good suggestion. So we may can figure out how we can get on a bus or just meet at those schools, and because those are examples of the best of the best. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Very good suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, if our next meeting again is here, same place, next week, do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
And I need a second.
You want to go to 10 other places? Yeah, right. Go every
Hey, Dave. Oh, thank you. There you go.
Many years ago.